and today's lecture is lecture number 8. The title of the lecture is Interpreting Domains and Dimensions. By the end of this lecture, you should be able to identify interpreting domains and dimensions and the number of conceptual dimensions and parameters. And of course, we will do some practice. Now, what are the domains and the dimensions? Translation studies are normally based on certain dimensions and domains. What I mean by dimensions means, really criteria. I mean, like for instance, if you want to think of translation, you need to think of, okay, what are the varieties of interpreting? You need to think what is the medium of interpreting. The varieties, it means how many types of interpreting. Consecutive and simultaneous. You need to think of the medium. It means in what manner. I mean, is it a human interpreting or machine interpreting or computer aided interpreting? So you need to think of the setting. Where am I going to interpret? Is it in court or in United Nations or in an institution like King Faisal University? You need to think of the text. Is it a specialized text or is it a general text? You need to think of the source text and the target text. These are really subdomains, means the areas you need to think of when you are really thinking of doing an interpreting. So this is just a little introduction about interpreting studies and what is involved in interpreting studies. But if we go further and say, okay, look, if you want to create and draw a map, of all the domains and areas and dimensions of interpreting studies, you need to think of eight dimensions, 8 areas, eight domains. Number 1, you need to think of the medium. Now, the word medium, what is the word medium? Medium is a technical word. It means the by who, by who, by what, by what interpreting is done or is carried out. So you could say either by a human or by a machine. It means either a human interpreting or machine translation or computer aided interpreting. Human interpreting means, we interpret. It means an interpreter. Machine translation, it means by a program such as Google or Yahoo. Computer aided, it means you are the interpreter. You seek help from the computer and application in the computer. The program, like any other program, like any other applications. WhatsApp is an application. What we say, there are so many applications, and computer-aided interpreting is interpreting done by a human being, but helped by a computer program or an application. This is the medium. Now, the second dimension, you need to think of the setting. What we mean by the setting, the environment. Now, the setting here, where am I delivering my lecture? It is in a studio. So this is the setting of my lecture. It is not in the classroom, it is in a studio, you know. So you need to think, where shall I carry out my interpreting? Is it in a multilateral conference setting, or is it in an organization like King Faisal University, or is it in a court, or is it in a police station, or is it in the street? So you need to think of the setting. Setting means the environment, means where you will be doing the translation or the interpreting. So we have medium, we have the setting. Now number 3, the mode. The mode means the way, the manner. How are you going to deliver your interpreting? How are you going to execute your interpreting, carry out your interpreting? How are you going to interpret? Are you going to do consecutive interpreting, or simultaneous interpreting, or whispered, or sight interpreting? Consecutive interpreting, as you know, interpreting that takes place after the speech, after the speaker has finished. In other words, you need to take notes while the speaker is speaking, and then after he or she stops and she or he has finished speaking, then you do the interpreting. This is consecutive interpreting. Whereas simultaneous interpreting, another mode of interpreting, is or takes place as the text is being presented. As the speaker is speaking, you interpret. So it is simultaneous. Simultaneous. You know. So number 3, simultaneous translation or simultaneous interpreting is very difficult, very challenging, and this is what happens in conference interpreting, you know. So but you are doing consecutive interpreting, you are not doing simultaneous interpreting. But if you want to practice simultaneous interpreting, you can do that with a couple of friends. Even you can do you need someone to really speak, and then you interpret. Even if your little brother or little sister or your friends, you know, let her speak, let him speak, and then you interpret. Whispered, again, it is simultaneous, but you know, you whisper in the speaker, in the listener's ear, and the speaker, and you listen to the speakers speak, you know. So this is whisper. Sight, you look at the text and you interpret automatically, you know, simultaneously. You look at the text and you interpret. This is sight, because you look at it. So now we have medium, we have setting, and we have the mode. I hope it is clear, and I hope my voice is clear. Now, dimension number 4, you need to think of the language. What kind of language you are going to interpret? Is it it is of course spoken, you know, and but you need to think, is it conference interpreting, or is it conference language? Is it formal language? Is it migrant language? You know, migrant language means people coming from different parts of the world, and you need to interpret them. Like for instance here, if you want to do interpreting at the police station for someone from, you know, from a Bengali or an Indian or a Chinese or even an English person, you know, you go to the police, and at the police station you do interpreting. But this kind of interpreting is called, it's migrant language. You know, you don't expect of a Bengali to speak really proper English, so you need to be able to adapt a bit, amend, be able to understand his English language. I mean, but when an English native speaker of English speaks is different from when a Bengali or an Indian speaks English here in this setting in the kingdom. So you need to be able to interpret such language. Okay, so we have covered so far the dimension, four dimensions. The medium, you have to think of the medium, and you have to think of the setting, you have to think of the mode, and then you have to think of the language. All right. Now number 5. Number 5, the discourse. The discourse is a stretch of language. You know, a stretch of language in context, perceived as meaningful and unified by its users. You know, and the discourse has 3 areas: paralanguage, pragmatics, and genre. So it's a bit complicated, but what you need to know in this particular lecture is what kind of discourse. Is it debate? Is it a debate discourse, or is it a normal discussion, or is it a lecture? You know, you need to understand the type of discourse you are interpreting. Is it face-to-face discourse, or is it debates when the people argue for and against, or is it like interview discourse? You know, so you need to really be aware of this type of dimensions of the interpreting. Now, the level 6, or dimension 6 is related to participants. Participants means you need to ask yourself, okay, I'm going to interpret, between this group of people and this group of people. It means, are they equal? Or this group, for instance, this group of people are senior to this or superior to this in terms of position, for instance. Like the employee, for instance, representatives of a company speak in English to workers. Here you need to really understand that these are the owners of the company, and they speak in a different language, a different discourse, different they are representative of different category. Then the workers are different, so they are not equal. But when you are dealing with representatives, equal representatives, for like representatives from Shell company in the UK, and representatives from Aramco here in Saudi Arabia. So you need to really interpret. These are called equal representatives, and they belong to two equal companies. But if you are if you are interpreting between individuals, someone from a doctor and a patient, these are individuals. A doctor is speaking to the patient, you are interpreting what the doctor is saying. Okay? And of course you are interpreting what the patient is saying as well. So number 7, dimension number 7, it is the interpreter. You need to really look at yourself and ask yourself, am I a professional interpreter or a layman interpreter? And this makes a lot of difference. when you are a professional and when you are not. So if you are a professional interpreter, you have to act as a professional. But if you are a layman or a natural interpreter, then it's a different story. You cannot do interpreting in the United Nations if you are not really a professional one. Even you cannot do interpreting in an institution like King Faisal University if you are not really a professional interpreter. But if you want, for instance, to go to the police station, they need an interpreter, and for something really ordinary, then you go and you say, okay, I am a natural interpreter, I know a bit of English, I know a bit of French, I can do interpreting. Now the last one is the problem. What kind of problems you need to think of you might face? The kind of problems, does it have to do with your simultaneity? In other words, are you fluent? How about the memory? Is your memory really crispy, vivid? How about the quality of your interpreting? How about the stress, the effect of all these factors? You need to think of, because they might cause problems to you. All right. So we have covered 8 dimensions for interpreting. I hope that you have understood them, and if you want to repeat them, you can go through the slides again and again and again. Now look at the example. Now, interpreting. In the exam, for instance, I told you in my live session and what kind of exam questions you might face. So let's do this interpreting. I look at it. I know it is simultaneous. Probably I'll do it simultaneously now, or consecutively. If I want to translate this consecutively, it might take me, let's say, 1 minute. But simultaneously, I should really look at it and translate it. Now, cited translation. I don't want to read it out. But if you want me to read it out, I can read it out. But because it is there, I can look at it and interpret right away. Now, cited translation is as follows. تبين لقاضي كاليفورنيا أن ولدا عمره 12 عاما مسؤولا عن جريمة قتل أباه النازي. This is cited translation. Joseph Hall was just 10 years old when he shot and killed his father. كان جوزيف هول عمره 10 سنوات عندما أطلق الرصاص على والده فأرماه قتيلا. وذلك كان in the early hours of 1 May 2000 وكان ذلك في الساعات المبكرة من الأول من مايو 2011. The verdict delivered yesterday, which pronounced Joseph guilty of second-degree murder, means that the young defendant could be incarcerated in a juvenile facility until he is 23 years old. إن الحكم الذي أصدر البارحة والذي يقر بأن جوزيف ارتكب جريمة من درجة ثانية يدل على أن المدعي عليه أو المتهم سيسجن في سجن الأحداث حتى يبلغ من العمر 23 عاما. This is an interpreting. Some people might be able to do it better than me, so don't think I am perfect. No, I'm not perfect, but this is just, I'm giving you an example. But sometimes you could be better than me, you could be better than the instructor, because this is a skill. This is a skill, and it needs a lot of expertise, a lot of focus, a lot of language, so you could be better than me, inshallah. This is translated from English into Arabic. Now, from Arabic into English, Again, if you want me, I can read it out, but I will do the interpreting without sight interpreting. It is said that a man came to Imam Abi Hanifa one night and said to him, "O Imam, I buried some money in a place long time ago, but I have forgotten where the place is. Can you help me find this place? Or can you help me solve this problem?" The Imam answered, "This is not the job of a faqih." A faqih means a jurist. This is not the job of a jurist to find you a solution. Then the Imam thought for a second and said, "Don't go. Come. I advise you to pray or to perform prayer until dawn, and you will remember where the money is, inshallah, God willing." This is just an example again. The rest of the story you find it down, practical A and practical B. So this is the lecture, and I hope that it is clear now, and I hope that you have understood it. And please, you can, in addition to this lecture, you can go to the handouts I gave to the administration, and I'm sure they must have uploaded them to you. So read this, understand it, and inshallah you will be alright. I wish you all the best, and thank you very much indeed. Thank you.